be familiar with engaged supports, given our long history.
There's also Advienne against the team that kicked him, right? Mickey replaced him on XL last year. And Xerxes looking for something in the early game here, can't find it. Neither jungler really has had the opportunity to get a gank after that initial level 1 play. Razork trying to sneak around the vision here, though.
We talked about this.
Now, what Patrick and Limit should do here is hold their spells. Molten Shield just goes down, but you want everything when the wave crashes. Humanoid's already moved from the mid lane. He's down here. TP available for VTO and Oda1 if they want to try and fight. Advienne stunned. There's the TP in, but immediately first blood over to Fnatic. Reckless tanks a single tower shot. Razork will flash as the second one finds its mark, and Fnatic get first blood.
The dive is clean from Fnatic. They're able to make the execution work, and it all comes back to what we were talking about in the early game. They have pushing bot, they have a pushing mid, and it's easy for Humanoid to look for these roams. And they're able to execute it at just the right time. They're able to catch the wave to be able to set up the dive. And I think one of the big things that Limit should have done is just hold on to his stun a little bit longer. The advantage of that Annie is the point and click CC. The second that someone gets that tower aggro, you can immediately lock them up underneath the tower. But he actually used it early onto Advienne, which meant that they could shift the aggro around. Fnatic were able to walk away with a kill. Small gold lead for Fnatic, and overall a good start here in Spring.
And as we have a moment, we'll just talk a little bit about what Limit is doing on this Annie. If you haven't looked at the patch changes over the last couple of patches, Annie has been buffed a little bit. Her E now has greater shield strength, scales better with AP, and also gives more damage back to a single person. So when you attack it, you take a big burst of damage back. Her Tibbers has more health, is very quick when she tries to chase you around as well. So what we see in the support Annie is usually Emax. Often you'll skip your W level 3 and just go 2 points in E, 1 point in Q. That's what Limit's done here. So it's all about trying to control the lane with quite long auto attack range, good poke, good shielding, and then later on in fights, obviously Annie flash Tibbers is something that has been known of since the dawn of League of Legends.
Oh yeah, for sure. Whenever you have flash up, you have to be careful. Razork now threatening a dive on top lane. Looking to try and get some resources into Oscarinen's pockets. We'll see if they're able to make anything work here. Humanoid does have the TP, but of course doesn't really have anything to TP to at this point in time. Keep my eyes on the rest of the map. Xerxes bot lane should make this an easy dive.
Oda1 trying to dodge away from this one. Hits the level 6, and immediately Razork and Oscarinen don't want any more of that. The all-out, always a threat. Knocked back with the seismic shove in the mid lane. Chaos Storm comes down. Humanoid needs to walk away from this one. Does still have the flash. Will be able just to escape VTO's clutches. Can base and now TP back into the lane, but he's going to lose a couple of minions. Limit and Xerxes taking the time that they know Razork is up towards that top side to make sure that the first objective of the game is secured for XL.
Perhaps a couple stage nerves there for Oscarinen. He just whiffed the ultimate. Oda1 walked out of the way. Wasn't forced to spend the ghost or really anything. And the moment that ultimate didn't connect made it harder for Razork to commit. That will cost Fnatic a Drake in the bot side of the map. And at the end of the day, not the worst situation for Fnatic to find themselves in. Pretty even game state across the board outside of that one kill that we saw bot. But now look, once again, Humanoid and Razork grouping up, moving into the bot side river.
Oscarinen can just jump away from that one. Odo now with the ghost trying to chase in. Oscarinen had the flash, didn't even burn it. Oda1 showing Oscarinen what it's like on the LEC stage, picks up the solo kill.
Yeah, and that's the difference with experience, I feel. Oda1, of course, with his many years of confidence, he knows how to take advantage of any small mistake that you make. And he was very quick to punish Oscarinen there.
It's
reminiscent of Oda1 when he started last split, where he was finding himself with a solo kill here and there, in particular on the Cassante as well.
It's one of those traditional Cassante plays, you know, Q3, knock them back, minion wave is just outside of tower range, and then you use your ultimate to drag them back underneath the tower. We've seen it tried and tested, and works for Oda1 in this game. And the question is, can Fnatic continue to keep the pace of this game up? The roaming from Humanoid and Razork has been pretty strong. Got that kill down towards the bottom side. Razork was looking for another gank up towards top. Obviously that didn't work out, and for the moment, looks like he is just going to go for a clear of his jungle. Red buff there for him. And then could perhaps look up towards top where Oda has no sums.
Well, now we're looking at Herald, right?
True.
We're hitting that 8-minute mark. You can see Limit choosing to back early. He is a little bit behind in XP versus Advienne. And the awkward thing for XL right now is that Patrick hasn't had an opportunity to base. Only now is he proccing that recall, and you can see Reckless already making his way towards the objective. Oda1 will be the one to start things off, but no summoners, no ult. Could be the window that Fnatic need to start this fight.
Razork has his ult. Humanoid has his as well, the Weaver's Wall. Handy, quite decisive in fights like this. Glacial Prism hits, but the rest of Fnatic not quite in the area to jump on it. Fnatic, though, will force VTO away. Rift Herald resets as her patience expires. She'll run back towards the pit. Does a little bit of charging.
Not resetting.
Yeah, now she'll reset.
She's resetting.
Has to reset the patience entirely. Rifto, not like some of the jungle camps where you can kind of juggle it a little bit. We'll reset there, and Fnatic tried to find it, couldn't find much more with Patrick joining up with XL. I think Fnatic might have accepted that having used this Sejuani ultimate, they don't really want to look for another fight.
Yeah, so it's a bit awkward for Fnatic now because they kind of committed a little too early. They had a numbers advantage, but Oscar Renin needed to catch that top wave. Odoamne had already started the objective off, and after the Herald ended up getting reset, it bought enough time for Patrick to actually make his way up, spend some of that money, and then with the numbers contest Fnatic. So now XL, with their second objective of the game, they've been able to claw a very small gold lead for the time being. So Fnatic is using this window to control the bot side of the map. Maybe they can find a pick onto Patrick or Limit, but if nothing else, they should be able to funnel a few more plates into Reckless.
Will be his second of the game down towards this bottom. So you can see he's already about 900 gold ahead. Will probably be sitting up near the top of the total gold charts. Actually pressed the wrong button there, so I'm going to bring up the button that I intended to press. You can see leading over Odoamne, even though he's only got that assist. And the question for Fnatic is now, the early game, we're transitioning out of it, right? Humanoid and Razork tried to do some stuff, tried to find some ganks, weren't as effective as perhaps they would like to be. XL will try and open up the map with this Rift Herald, you have to assume, and how do Fnatic now deal with the fact that XL don't have to just assign lanes as per usual? If they can open up one of these towers.
Well, I mean, I don't think Fnatic, when we talked about scaling, sure, I think it's fair to argue that XL do have better scaling, but I don't think it's so dramatic that Fnatic won't have options. I still think that when you look at things, especially like a Heimerdinger, Talia, you have so much poke at your disposal, and these champions are very difficult to face check, right? Like, we've all had that experience where you're trying to go towards the dragon, and then, oh, there's one a Heimerdinger turret here in the brush, and well, then you end up getting one shot because you didn't realize that Heimerdinger was in the other bush right next to it. So, especially with the Talia as well, it's just very difficult. So being first on the objective is really important, and I think that Fnatic have the tools to be able to get that. It's getting it harder when Vito especially gets that upgrade on his E, once he gets fully stacked, which based on the number of stacks that he has, I believe, yeah, well, he should have already gotten his first stack, which means that he now has the upgraded E, and he should be able to just instantly wave clear. Normally it's around 8.5 minutes to 9 minutes. Yeah, there you go, when you get that first upgrade.
You know, don't the colors of the icons change?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so we could see that the color is more orangey now.
Yeah, but I thought it was, I mean, oh yeah, you're talking about the icons. You can also just look above his bar and go see the little icon.
Oh, true.
But I just, you know, it's, you know, fun fact.
It's a good
8.5 minutes is the usual on average, assuming you're farming okay.
So for me, it would be like 12 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. They will hand that blue buff over to Vito. Dragon is now up and available, and you can look. Fnatic once again first on the objective. Razork looking for a pick.
Glacial Prism's going to hit onto Limit. Very squishy is the Annie. Able to survive with multi-shield. Jumps in for the stun as well. The Chaos Storm is ticking humanoid flashes. Razork looking for the chase. Gets him with the Winter's Wrath. The Rift Herald will charge in. The plates go over to XL. But the cost of it is Limit's life.
And that's the risk of the face checking that we talked about. Limit survived a lot longer than I was expecting him to. If he'd had level 6, very much could have killed humanoid there. But Fnatic do walk away with a kill, and they should be able to secure this dragon as well. But look at Vito, he pushed in mid. The TP now coming out from humanoids. All right, XL really going to try and contest this. Remember that they are a man down right now. Limit on his way back.
Yeah, no Tibbers though for Limit. We'll have that stun fully recharged as he's just respawned.
TPs
teleport
up soon.
Available for Oscar Renin. It looks like the dragon will just be secured. Oscar Renin would struggle to teleport away from Odoamne as he continues to fight up towards that top lane. But for the moment, it's a dragon apiece. Rift Herald used as well, and the gold basically even. Fnatic have about 400 extra, and most of that sitting on Reckless on this Xayah.
Yeah, so Fnatic should be looking at this bot tower now. They want to progress the game forward. They want to unlock this bot lane as much as they can, as Odoamne looking for another kill in top.
Oscar Renin will go mega here with the Wallop. There's the Gnar, but Odo dodges it beautifully there, uses the unstoppability. VTO coming in as well. Oscar Renin trying to flash away, but this should be all done. But the Gnar falling. VTO tanks it, Odoamne takes it. Meanwhile, the bot lane dive didn't really materialize. In the end, Xerxes was here to stop Razork's advances. And Limit's waiting around the corner with the Tibbers. One turret plate remains for Fnatic if they want to push further. Humanoid's on his way down. I
think Fnatic's main goal here is just the turret. They don't need to get any kills. Xerxes is providing that cover, but you can see them just focusing on chipping away this tower. Here comes the ult from Humanoid.
Humanoid looking to get behind him. Glacial Prism hits, Limit gets the stun under the tower into the explosive cast, and it's enough for Razork to fall. The tower still stands, Patrick is low, flashes away from Advienne, who was charging up those rockets. Odo still on the chase here, TP'd into the fight, and he's looking for a little bit more once his third kill of the game. Rooted up for just a second, stopwatch from Humanoid, perfectly bashed into by Xerxes, but Humanoid still surviving. Xerxes and Odo Amne do not have the damage to take down Fnatic.
Odo Amne not having his ultimate there may have been a bit of an overextension for XL, but they're able to get that kill onto Razork and stop that bot tower falling, as Vito was able to catch that top wave as well. Overall, XL definitely coming out on top here, even though the gold staying relatively even.
Reminds me, I watched Avengers recently, and you know the bit where Thanos bleeds and he says, all that for a drop of blood? Yeah. It's like, all that for a single turret plate. That's all they were aiming for. Now it's past 40 minutes. That plate won't go down in the bot lane, but the tower still very unsteady on its foundations, should be taken down pretty soon.
So, we talked about it earlier, the risk of diving in Annie is that stun, and ideally with the stun you want to wait to see who takes tower aggro. Lo and behold, it is Razork. The moment the Limit isn't chain CC'd anymore, throws Timbers down. The barrel follow-up as well from Xerxes means that Razork is completely locked up underneath his tower with no flash. And at this point, Odo Amne is saying, I have the damage to be able to kill Humanoid, and he would have had Humanoid not had the stopwatch here, which would have likely been enough, but then the full combo comes out from Humanoid, they get that damage down onto Limit. Odo Amne tries changing targets, but he realizes, you know what, without my ulti, I can't really commit to this. So it ends up just being a trade back of kills, but the tower still stands strong-ish. I say strong, it's literally on its last legs. But Fnatic have succeeded in moving their bot lane out into the mid lane now, and this is where we should start seeing Humanoid group up with his jungler once more, look for picks around the map, as he has often been doing in this early game. But props to XL, they don't find themselves at a massive deficit as they often did. When we look back at some of their early game stats, the two teams did not look very good. You can see that in terms of their ability to secure early objectives, whether it be Herald, Drake, and the amount of time that they spent in early deficits, especially the amount of kills they were able to get in the early game, these two teams were our worst.
I will say these are just general stats, these aren't specifically early, but their early stats didn't look good either. But yes, these two teams very much near the bottom of the barrel in winter, and now they're trying to change things up come spring. Perhaps a new, I don't know, flower, but like bed blooming for them, something, the birth of new life in spring. Yeah, I mean,
perhaps they'll just open a new Excel spreadsheet and just start with a clean slate.
True.
Now,
they are XL fanatics, aren't they?
They certainly are. One of the advantages that XL have in this position is Vito has the teleport, Humanoid does not. So Humanoid is just trying to keep Vito underneath his tower as much as possible, but because of that TP advantage, Fnatic find it very difficult to contest given Humanoid's current positioning. So XL will secure another objective, and they can likely use that to break open the mid tower. We'll see if that's where they want to direct their focus for the time being. Patrick should have some money to spend. But overall, we're in that neutral state of the mid game where we're now kind of waiting for things like the next dragon to spawn, which is likely where we'll see another big fight.
Oscarwin is still trying to trade with Odo Amne. It's been a little bit of a turbulent first 16 minutes here on the LEC stage for Oscarwin on that Nard. Does still have teamfight threat, of course. Mega Nards into the wall. It's something that every top laner dreams of, but for the moment, sitting 0-2-0 and 1,000 gold in the hole to Odo. The other rookies, or the other newbies to these teams, I guess, Advienne's, you know, done a pretty solid job on this Heimer. He's been hitting his rockets, he's been putting his turrets down, done everything you need to do with Heimer in the laning phase, and Limit's been a bit of a punching bag for Fnatic. 1, 3, and 1. It's actually been every single one of his team's deaths so far.
Yep.
Doesn't bode well for the rest of the split, but it is only 17 minutes of gameplay. In the past, we were mocked for taking results off a best of one. I think half of a best of one is something we should definitely be mocked for as well.
Now XL doing as we expected, dropping that Herald mid to open up the tower, and you can see how much easier it is for them to get this control now when VTO has a few more levels underneath his belt, and how quickly he just clears out these waves, especially with Limit right beside him. Fnatic, if they attempt an engage, the Annie's there to provide support. Now, there are good wards from Fnatic. You can see them littered around the bot side of the map. And are we going to threaten a TP here? Of course, not available just yet, but it should be up any minute. But this gives Fnatic options. As I say that, they're grouping up as 5 and they're making their way into the river.
Only second dragon of the game for either of these two teams. XL trying to set up around it, already down to 6,000. Fnatic stepping in, Glacial Prison a possibility. It hits onto Xerxes. They dive forward. The tip is coming out as well. Everyone dodges to the all-out as well from Odo Amne. Isolates Razork all on his lonesome, and XL walk out with a kill on the jungler. Now they turn their eyes back towards the dragon. Fnatic continue to poke and to prod and to pry their way into something, but Reckless is having none of it. He's already gone to get the mid lane prio. Humanoid and Advienne can only catch a Scuttle Crab. No XL members overstepping, overstaying. And the dragon should be secured for XL. Mid lane tower, though, for Fnatic.
The best trade that Fnatic can really look to get as XL find themselves with a big win in that last fight. Humanoid needs to be careful here, though. He does have the support of Advienne right behind him. And he will be able to steal away the Raptors. But Fnatic, while they do have the gold lead, fall behind in terms of Drakes. But it's a dead even game for the most part in this early game, which largely benefits XL. We talked about their scaling advantage. The Rod of Ages slowly starting to stack up for Vito as he is getting ever closer to level 13. As a reminder, for those, when you look at the overlay, you can see that little pink bar next to the champion icons. Let's have a look at this engage from Razork. He throws the ultimate onto Xerxes. The follow-up is not easy. Oscarinin doesn't really have anything to follow up with. The Sejuani basically goes in alone. Humanoid's knockback goes onto the Tibbers. And how does Fnatic follow up? You know, we're seeing it in this fight, especially in that narrow choke point. Xerxes and XL just stayed gathered as a little collective meatball, and they made it very difficult for Fnatic to access. They were trying to chip away at XL, whereas Razork really tried to kick the fight off, and it just felt a disjointed fight for Fnatic.
And it's the second time we've seen Razork look for an engage like that, and then Fnatic not be able to follow up. The Rift Herald fight was one earlier where he used the Glacial Prison, and then no one was in range. Perhaps just some teething issues here for Fnatic, but perhaps a sign of not quite being on the same page yet. However, they are still in an okay position as they look towards this top lane. Oscarinian's going to have to get away here. Xerxes trying to chase him off as XL try and cull the wave. Meanwhile, Odoamne's down towards the bottom side. Glacial Prison just wide. Xerxes does have the flash. Explosive cast actually burns the flash from Oscarinian. Would have been knocked under the tower with no minions there. Mini Gnar would have fallen pretty quickly. XL doing a good job of defending their towers here. They've got the monkeys set up. They're shooting down all the balloons as quickly as they can. At the moment, those towers are still standing.
That they are.
Or this one.
This one, as one will fall on the bot side in favor of Odoamne. Yeah, pretty even game to start things off. I think that the game is looking very good for XL overall, though.
Yep.
What we've seen from them, their bot lane seems very stable. There's been a lot of attacks towards the bot side of the map, and Limit, well, he has been the factor that's been killed a lot. I wouldn't entirely blame him for that.
Like, yeah, you're going to kill it. You're going to kill a Zeri or an Annie.
Yeah, he's been focused a lot by Fnatic, and the fact that he's the only one dying in these situations, and XL have been able to trade back a lot, you know, 1-for-1 often for his life, so, and they're keeping hold of their towers for the time being. So XL looking pretty good in this early game. A lot of the advantage sitting on Odoamne right now, and it's going to be difficult for Fnatic to really deal with him. The only real advantage is they do have a lot of Peel and Kite back in their composition. Xayah and Taliyah love it when you come into them because of things like the feathers and the, well, I always remember it as like the W from Taliyah. I don't remember the name.
What, the
where she throws all the pebbles on the ground.
Unraveled Earth?
Is that the one it's called?
Because their passive is worked ground, yeah. So it's Threaded Volley, Unraveled Earth, Seismic Shove, Weave Swap.
Oh yeah, there you go. Look at you, play-by-play knowing all the things.
Sometimes it's my job. I will say, I think for Fnatic, even though they're in a, like, XL are in a good position, Fnatic are also in a pretty strong position when you look at where their gold is, right? You've got 2 items already finished on Humanoid, you've got 2 items already finished on Reckless. He's 1,600 gold ahead, and although he didn't have an incredible winter split, none of Fnatic had an incredible winter split, Reckless in the past was a player who could carry from this sort of situation. True. The question is whether he still is that player. We haven't seen that player in a while, let's be honest, but if I were to pick a player on Fnatic that I was going to give a ton of gold and say, hey, try and carry late game team fights, Reckless would probably be that player.
I mean, Humanoid, of course.
Humanoid, of course, as well, yes.
Zero other
one of their 2 carries, they both have quite a bit of gold, so it's okay, you know?
We'll see if they're able to do it, though. I think that XL's comp makes it that much harder. We've already seen a few examples of the fights. The next dragon spawns in about a minute's time. Humanoid.
Oh, flash body slam, explosive cask available as well. Humanoid's going to get knocked back here. Chaos Storm ticking, and that will be enough. Humanoid killed off in the top lane. As Xerxes finds his man. Well played by him. The flash body slam perfectly placed.
Yeah, really well executed there by Xerxes. The fact that Humanoid couldn't react in time, he does flash, but that just sets up Xerxes for the ultimate to follow up. Means that it's an easy kill, and it's just Humanoid overstepping his bounds. He often does this. He tries to interrupt your backs, tries to get whatever little damage he can, and it all makes him a very talented laner, but sometimes can mean an easy punish for a waiting jungler, which is exactly what Xerxes did. 5-3 is now the kill score, a 1k gold lead. Well, a little bit over that in favor of XL. And Lichbane second for Vito. Not something you often see on Victor. Sometimes you will see it here and there, but just makes your Q that bit stronger.
Does give you quite a lot of damage, and it feels like the last couple of minutes have been Fnatic trying to get top tier 1 and just waiting for the dragon to spawn, and XL saying, okay, we'll defend top tier 1 and we'll just farm the rest of the map, right? Get more items, get Patrick up to 2 items as well. As you say, VTO 2.5 with a needlessly large rod, and once again, will you join us for the Lekam and the LEC A-Ramp as everyone pushes into the mid lane? Glacial Prison already used, Patrick trying to dodge away, Razork dashing in, but Patrick half HP, no one on Fnatic really burnt down too much. Radiant Virtue healing them up as well from Razork's ultimate. No Glacial Prison for him though, and look at the side of XL, still every single ultimate available for them if Fnatic decide to take this fight. Weaver's Wall comes down, Fnatic split off VTO from the rest of his team. I don't know if they know that VTO isn't there. Dragon started now by XL as Fnatic try and close in. How long? Half the timer left on the Glacial Prison. If Fnatic can delay and get that ultimate back up, maybe they can look for a re-engage, but so far they have been struggling around objectives like this. XL once again in a good position, shepherding Fnatic into the pit. Oscar in nowhere near the Mega Gnar, slowly building it up, a third of the way there. Odoamne putting its face into his opposition as Humanoid caught out. Reckless gets the dragon for Fnatic. Humanoid on the backline being isolated. Oscar in trying to do what he can against 3 members of XL. Fnatic have already lost 1 as Humanoid is down. Oscar in builds up the Mega Gnar, and XL on the wrong side of the rift. Razork going forward, hits the stun onto VTO. Oscar in trying to get in, but once again, the Gnar falls short, and Fnatic fall down. Reckless dives in, stunned up, locked up, shut down. Fnatic all in pieces as XL start to close in around them once again. Advienne has to flash away. Oscar has the dash, has flash in 2, and will escape. The dragon secured for Fnatic, but XL are looking for a much bigger objective.
Fnatic just can't find the fight, and you can see Reckless at the last part trying to secure a kill, diving in, looking for some opportunity. But it was an overcommitment. The chain CC comes through from Limit. XL hold their ground, and now they start the Baron. Razork still alive, has the flash, has the smite. Will this be stolen away?
Odoamne's got to try and do everything he can to stop Razork getting into that pit. Xerxes is low, Odoamne's low as well, though, as Razork continues to push forward. XL peel off the Baron, and they invested 2 TPs into trying to start it. They couldn't find it. Fnatic hold their ground.
Fnatic doing a good job of buying time and preventing the Baron. Let's have a look at this one. The immovable wall that is Odoamne dives immediately onto the backline. He just does not care. There is not enough peel to protect him. You can see Oscar focusing down Xerxes on the right-hand side. That initial stun coming out to Reckless. So far in this fight, he hasn't seen an opportunity to actually deal any damage. He's just been trying to avoid the Tibbers. Then Razork goes in over the wall. Oscar tries to follow up with the ultimate. Gets bopped by Xerxes, misses the ultimate. And you can see here, Reckless sees an opportunity, Gale forces him, but then the stopwatch from Xerxes means that there's no target for him to focus. The stun from Odoamne, the stun from Limit, and then the execution from Patrick. The idea promising. As you can see, the ultimate's still available for Reckless. Get that kill, ulti up, maybe flash out, get away to safety. But the chain CC from Odo, who's been having an incredible game 1, as XL continue to grow their lead.
Yeah, Odo and Xerxes doing such a good job of controlling space in these fights. Xerxes with the bop on towards Oscar probably would have only been him caught in the Gnar. It came out from the Fnatic top laner, but all of XL having a very strong start to spring. What it means in terms of the grand scheme of things, we'll have to wait at least 3 more weeks to see, but for the moment, solid play. Pretty good macro as well. Played through the
look at the bright side for XL. They could at least match their record from last split if they win this game.
We made playoffs easier and they still missed it.
I am aware. Fnatic missing their first ever playoffs last split. Definitely a downfall for the organization, and so far not a great start. This composition has been difficult for them to execute some early leads. Xerxes going in.
Limit with the Tibbers over the wall. Oscar knocked back. He tried to dash, he tried to dive away, but XL were not going to let him escape. Odoamne now stepping forward for the chase as well. Xerxes looking for that flank position. Reckless pops the feathers up, make sure that he is safe as houses, but for the moment, Fnatic a member down, and XL turning their eyes towards the Baron.
Yep, they have a numbers advantage. Razork's still alive. VTO going to look to try and chip away at the HP bars of Fnatic. Odoamne on guard duty as well. Humanoid looking for an angle in, does have the ultimate.
Razork still has the flash here. Weaver's Wall separates VTO and Limit. It's only Patrick and Xerxes in the pit now. Xerxes down to half HP. The Weaver's Wall goes down. Xerxes still getting chipped away. 2,000 HP on the Baron. Glacial Prison. Patrick cleanses it. The stun onto Razork as he tries to dive through the unraveled earth. Once again, back to the Baron. Go XL. They'll land the smite. Xerxes takes it. Fnatic will look for the fight. Stepping forward. Only Razok on the front line right now. Odoamne is going to use that empowered recall to get out. Xerxes slows them with the barrel as well. And this tower that they spent so long defending is still there to protect them, Betty.
XL, they played the patience game and walked away the victors. You can see this engage from Xerxes. Just clean Gragas gameplay. The chain CC.
Doesn't get a moment.
Did he do that on purpose?
Yes.
I mean, the interrupt onto Oscarinen's E was really what cemented it. You can see that originally it seemed like he was just going for a bit of chip damage. I don't think that they actually fully wanted to commit. They just wanted to kind of force Oscarinen back. But the second that the Tibbers landed, and then the follow-up from Patrick as well, he was like, oh, we can actually get the kill here. And then just a beautifully timed ultimate works out nicely for XL. And now with the Baron there.
Reckless was hit with the Q3, has to pop the ultimate here to get away from the Tibbers. Flashes as well, but Odoamne is going to pull him back with the all-out blade caller coming in. Odoamne just soloing out the enemy AD carry. A little bit of help from Limit, it seems, but Odoamne is on a rampage. He does not want spring to be the same as winter. A new day has dawned for him, it seems. And Odoamne 5-0 now on the Cassante. He is sending a message to Fnatic.
An incredible performance from Odoamne in game one. He started off winter strong, and he's looking to do the same thing here in spring. As you rightly said, they have the Baron, they have the TPs, the Dragons up, but they don't care. XL looking to get their first win of spring. And it's only 3 members of Fnatic standing in their way.
Odoamne just tanking the tower here. Razok's taken down a little bit. Oscarinen has to dash away as well, and Odo is still tanking. This man just refuses to die. Razok and Advien forced to dash away. Oscarinen caught underneath his Nexus towers that have already been razed to the ground. And XL will match Winter. They claim their first win of spring.
I mean, a lot of positives to take away for XL. Last split, they find themselves falling into early deficits very quickly, in particular in the bot lane 2 versus 2. But even though Fnatic consistently attacked this bot lane, it was only really Limit that was falling, and they were pretty consistently finding trades back. A lot of the credit of this game, though, needs to go over to Odoamne.
Yep.
Just a massive top gap. Getting the solo kill.
We're going to do a round of word association, but with champions. Basically, I will mention a champion to you, and you need to tell me the first professional player that comes to your mind when I say this champion.
Okay. It has to be LEC or
No. It could be LEC, LCK, anyone you think of that is a pro player.
Okay.
Silas.
Zika. Caps.
Humanoid.
VTO.
Shumik?
Certus.
Chobi.
Nuke.
Deur?
Me. Reverse sweep against Fnatic.
Here comes. And into draft we go. Once again, we're on 13.4. We will be for the entirety of the regular season. Then we'll jump up a couple of patches, I think, to 13.6 for group stage and playoffs. Sejuani banned away by BDS. Caitlyn removed by SK. So far, blue side, 100% win rate in split, Betty.
That's crazy. Let's see if that changes in game 2. Now, for those that don't know, Exakick played 8 games of Zeri last split.
Didn't he win like 7 of them?
Yeah, he was pretty good. So they're going to ban that. The question is, will SK ban an Olaf, a Darius, or what will Adam prepare for us today? G2 showed us a lot of Kled last split, so I do wonder if perhaps Adam has adopted the Kled technology, or whatever shenanigans. Perhaps a Cho'Gath we saw over in the LCK. I think we also saw some in the LPL, but my memory does elude me. Draven going to be taken away from Exakick as well. So a lot of AD carry bans. This does mean that Zyre, of course, is still up and available, alongside the Gragas, who right now in the current meta are the highest priority picks.
And Aphelios. Aphelios has been rising through the ranks pretty quickly over in LCK and LPL. Wouldn't be surprised if Exakick, who was an Aphelios main when he was on LDLC and when he was in the LFL, gets his hands on Aphelios again. I think he even played it in playoffs. Maybe it was either groups or playoffs, yeah. There's the Ash ban by SK. BDS looking for their first pick now.
Admittedly, though, right, I always love this story about AD carries where they're like, why didn't you tell them that I was a Draven main? And I was like, because every AD carry in the LEC is a Draven main. I don't, what do you want from me? Like, win on it more, okay? Annie, of course, up and available, will be the first pick for BDS. The flexibility of the champ, you already talked about last game. You guys better get used to it. I'm honestly surprised it's getting through.
Yeah, same.
The AD carry bans are still rampant. Red side, it does seem... I'm surprised that Varus is still considered as strong as he is. I feel like that he was the AD carry that has the most answers based on what we saw last split.
We are seeing a mix of Varus builds now as well, though. A lot of people have moved over to the on-hit one. There's also the AP mixed on-hit one.
Right.
Where if you're building into a lot of HP stackers, you can go Nash's Tooth in there as well.
I mean, I've seen
Zonya's.
full AP Varus builds, and the ultimate, it's surprisingly hard. You can often be caught off guard by that. Regardless.
No Varus in this game. Zio and Vi for SK, it seems. They're going towards those tried and true. And against the Annie, you kind of want push in that bot lane, so we'll see what support they decide to team up alongside it. BDS looking likely at jungle plus support here.
Could be
jungle mid as well.
Well, it could be Wukong plus Aphelios.
True.
Perhaps.
Yeah, jungle AD carry actually makes more sense than jungle support.
Ooh.
There is the Jarvan lock-in for sure.
Some Jarvan changes to his W. I forget if I think the nerfs did come in 13.4 actually, because he was buffed originally, I think, on 13.3, and then I remember reading that they were like, oh, buffs were a little too strong, so we're going to nerf them again in 13.4.
You're correct.
And there is that Aphelios that we were just talking about. Now, I wonder if this will be paired up alongside the Annie, because I am interested to see what the perspective is of LEC teams, whether or not they think that Annie is good with all AD carries, or whether she's only good with specific ones. I get the impression that she's pretty well-rounded and can pair up quite nicely with a lot of AD carries, but I love Aphelios Thresh. I think it's a very staple bot lane. Last year, many remember it, the Aphelios Thresh into Jinx. What was it? Was it Jinx Lulu? Or was it
I think it was Jinx Lulu, yeah.
But there was, there was a lot of Jinx Aphelios last year, is the main point. But we know how reliable it is. Thresh offers a lot of safety and peel and protection. But Zyra can't. Tried and true. It's nice to see it back, I think. Yeah. Obviously, people get tired of AD carries pretty quickly because you tend to be on like a specific small pool of AD carries.
Like 3 AD carries that rotate usually.
Exactly,
anything but Zeri and Lucian.
But the reason why I love Rakan specifically is when paired up with a Vi, the engage is terrifying.
Yes.
You know, Vi can often have that problem where she locks onto a target, they flash away, very difficult for then anyone to follow up. Rakan is a perfect champion for following up, thanks to his mobility and the range with which he can close the gap. The Garen ban, showing respect towards Adam, who was the first player to bring it out here in LEC, and to devastating effect. I actually think they ended up losing that game, but I remember him being really annoying on the champion.
Yeah. Didn't he solo kill, is it Broken Blade? Top lane?
He solo killed.
Sure it was.
I think if Adam has been in a game, he's solo
probably
killed
got a solo kill, that's true. With the Jax and the Sion bands, it looks like Irrelevant is going back to the Gnar. Once again, just safe top laner. Usually manages to survive most matchups, although game 1 showed that he can be pressured, he can be forced behind if you're able to get him low early on in the game. Now BDS need to look towards... Ooh. No,
it's Gragas.
It's Gragas again.
Oh, Gragas Yasuo.
Okay.
Is this Gragas jungle Yasuo mid, or are they?
You got to put Jarvan in the jungle. Gragas top, Yasuo mid, Aphelios
Do
Annie.
you gotta put Jarvan in the jungle?
You got to put Jarvan in the jungle.
You got to put Jarvan in the jungle.
No one puts him in a box, but you put Jarvan in the jungle.
But Adam,
I mean, it's true.
is he a Gragas player?
Okay,
or is he a Yasuo
Jarvan
player?
support, Gragas top, Annie mid.
No.
I mean, we've seen Jarvan support last split. It's not going to happen. It's Jarvan in the jungle, but I was just giving you an extra alternative.
I think it might be Jarvan top.
It's possible. There's the Akali. We know where that's going. That's going to the middle.
For the record, like, you look at that draft from SK and you're really sad if you're Jarvan. This is not a happy, yay, I'm excited to play Jarvan game. Who do you lock down here? Maybe the Xayah, which has also got her ultimate to provide that extra bit of self-peel. Everyone has a dash to be able to get out of his ulti. Right now, though, the question on everybody's mind is who is going where on what?
Is it Yasuo top?
It could be. Adam's not going to play Gragas, man.
I mean, true, but I don't think neither of us said Yasuo top was the possibility. We thought that it might be...
I said it was an option.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I wasn't listening.
That's fine. It's fine.
But there you are, your option, I believe.
It was like 7.
Included.
There it is.
We'll be playing Yasuo in the top lane.
Okay, Yasuo top. Into Gnar. I mean, that was an old school counter. Do you remember? Back in the day, just because, it's really easy for Yasuo to trade, and you can win wall his boomerang, and then Gnar just doesn't have anything that he can really kite you with anymore. So, yeah, it's a pretty good matchup for the Yasuo.
Never played it before on a
Why does
professional
that
stage.
surprise
Adam.
you? Adam does that all the
I mean,
time.
sure, I'm just giving you some numbers.
That's
giving you
fine,
the
that's
stats,
cool.
You know?
I did say,
I
why
don't
does
actually
that
know when the
surprise
last
you?
Yasuo top was.
I don't know.
In the LEC. I'm going to have a quick
I'm afraid
nosy
I can't
for
answer
you.
that
Yeah.
question, but instead I will get the crowd a little bit more warmed up. As we're getting ready for Game 2 here of the Spring Split, it is BDS versus SK Gaming. We are moments away from getting into game. And here we are.
It's lights
The
out
game.
and away we go.
Lights out. Oh, yeah, you remember that reference.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
So Yasuo top's been played 8 times in the LEC, all time.
Sure.
Guess its win rate.
I'm going to say it's like 33%.
Yeah, 38%.
Ooh, I was close.
Last time was Woolite in
What?
2019 LEC Summer.
Walleye, that's a name.
So that was a troll game, I assume, because he played into a Kane. And Woolite was an AD carry, not a top laner.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Before that, I've got a few Challenger Series games in here. The last non-troll, as far as we know, LEC game where Yasuo top was played was 2015 summer by Cabochard.
That sounds like a Cabochard. Did he win?
Minions have
He did win, 7-2 and 4.
There we go. If Cabochard
He was
can
playing
do it.
into Nautilus top. Okay. That's enough looking back at stats. Let's pay attention to the game.
Use right. Is there any early game shenanigans? Let's have a look across the board. Of course, as a reminder, both these teams kept their rosters moving into spring. Both overall can be pretty satisfied with what they showcased. SK securing a top 4, and BDS, while not being able to qualify for that top 4 spot, still having a really good performance in the best of 3s, even taking a game off of G2. But it was Adam who was shut down in the early laning phase on his Olaf against Astralis, where he was hard camped, and Finn was able to get the better of him with an element of jungle support.
Just a little bit of jungle support in that game. I'm sure he's having flashbacks to Sejuani ganks over and over again. We did notice Sheo picking the Jarvan here. A little bit surprising, but actually with the buffs that Jarvan got as DOS engages onto Labrov in the bot lane, this should be fine. With the buffs that Jarvan got on his W, with the shield now scaling off your bonus AD, actually is a lot stronger as a jungler than he was. Before, you didn't have any scaling on that shield. Now, if you jump in and you have a Gore Drinker, you get a bunch of bonus AD, you can actually have quite a hefty shield as you go in for that engage. DOS going to trade in here. Going for the Q second. You often see this on Rakans now. Sometimes you even take Q first into a melee matchup just for the trades. Because the healing off that Q was buffed, I think on 13-2 or 13-3.
Something like that, yeah. Sheo will be spotted on a ward as he moves into the bot side of the map. Reminder that while Nuke does have a bit more push, the bot lane does not. He's been able to... Oh
Just
no,
get
he
seen.
will be spotted by the ward. Exit kick. Gonna be... Well, he wants that cannon. He wants the cannon.
Markoon's coming around as well. Now, DOS can order this cannon W away. He needs 3 for that E, though. Still, at 2-3 minions away from it. The stun's going to land. There's a knock-up as well as they look for the kill onto Exit kick. The ignite is enough. Sheo takes it in the end with that red buff Brock. And BDS get first blood.
Well, SK knew that the gank was coming. What they didn't expect was the flash stun from Labrov, and this is the power of Annie. Her ability to set up these plays is just so easy. Labrov working towards another stun, but he won't quite be able to get it. They'll push the wave underneath the tower. They'll get a nice back off. DOS trying to hold and freeze the wave and interrupt the back. That he will. Okay, so he's bought some time here.
Look at where his jungle mid are. Sheo and Nuka are actually hard invading here, looking for this blue. Maybe just trying to force Markoon off towards the other side of the map. Instead, we'll take the Scuttle Crab.
But a great start to the game from BDS and good gank overall. You can see the idea that with Markoon hovering, SK was saying, hey, we can respond to this, we can counter this play, or counter rather this play, and they just were a little too late. The damage was too much, it was too fast, and we're gonna have a quick look back at it. So again, you can see Markoon hovering right behind them, but flash stun from Labrov. Just so quick, very difficult to respond with. You basically got to react flash for flash, and even if you do, depending on whether or not the Annie has been able to Q her stun, even if you do flash, you can still end up stunned on the other side of it, which means that Sheo could have then just EQ flash to get that additional knockup. So overall, good stuff from the early game from BDS. They've clawed a pretty healthy early game advantage as top is winning, the jungle advantage, and of course the support advantage across the board.
Yeah, good lead early on here for BDS, continuing the way that they mean to go on. SK, their bot lane was such a point of power for them in winter. Now Exakik is, you know, still ahead in CS. Those wave pushing in though means that Crownie should be able to catch them. Once again, Cheo looking for a gank. No flashes were expended by the SK bot lane, but still the threat with the Graviton root, and now Labrov can charge the stun. There's the follow-up, and Exakik just doesn't get a moment to move. Crownie on the board, second kill of the game for BDS.
The vision control on the bot side of the map from BDS is fantastic. You have a look at some of these wards. They placed these deep wards earlier thanks to the mid prio that they had. They had this control ward already in the bush to make sure that all of the vision that SK did have, which was very limited, was denied. Remember that DOS very early on already swapped to the sweeper, so outside of the single trinket that they had available on Exakik, there just wasn't any vision available to them. So BDS punished that. They looked for a repeat gank, and the wave was pushing away from them as well. They want to try and push this wave out, and now it can very much be frozen, but the play is simple. Crownie has the Gravitum available, is able to get the roots. Labrov uses the W into the Q to secure the stun, and then Shio doesn't even need to EQ. DOS tries to knock him up to buy time, but it's not enough. Another kill.
It is one of the weaknesses of Rakan as well. You can stop people a little bit with your W, you can stop them getting into the fight, but if they're already on top of someone, you have no way of really disengaging your AD carry until you get the quickness that you can charm people away from the fight. It's not something like an Alistair that can headbutt them away, or a Nautilus that can, you know, hook them and CC them a little bit more. It's a bit of a tricky one. Rakan's laning phase has always been one of his main points of weakness. Even with the Q buffs, he's still not the strongest in the lane. Relatively safe to blind pick if you're willing just to stay back. But for the moment, BDS are doing a very good job of isolating this bot lane and putting them behind. And when you're trying to isolate someone on SK, when you're trying to find a place that you can really put pressure on, this bot lane is a key target. They are so consistently the carry for SK when it gets to later portions of the game. If you put them behind in the early game, maybe SK will struggle.
Have to wait and see. We've seen Certus have some strong Akali games in the past,
True.
of course. Often in the mid to late game is where we see him shine. We'll see if he can have a strong performance. Things like Gragas, though, can be very obnoxious to